Hi guys, Mac here from Flowly. I'm going to go through a very quick video today, just highlighting how you can add a Net Promoter Score sequence and follow-up sequence to your Klaviyo accounts. Really brief description of what an NPS score is. So, simple way to understand your customer's level of loyalty is to send out an NPS survey example to your customer. So the NPS system seeks to measure not just customer satisfaction. So it's not just how much you like the product or the service. You're trying to understand the level of loyalty in the sense of, would they tell their friends or family about your brand? That's a big push to say, hey, well, how likely are you to recommend us to your family and friends? So the way you measure this on a scale of 0 to 10, and then anybody that scores between 0 and 6, you'd class as a detractor. Anyone between 7 and 8 is a passive, so neither here nor there. And then anyone that scores 9 or 10, they're active promoters of your brand. And you want to deal with these people differently as you follow up on them. So there's two things that you want to gauge here. Is you want to be able to understand your Net Promoter Score, which you can do using Klaviyo. And then you want to understand how you can communicate with detractors, passives, and promoters. So I'm going to get into that and show you the sort of process on how to do that. It's a little bit involved, but it's quite straightforward. So the first thing you want to do, I've just thrown together a really quick email that you can send out to people. So you can send this out as campaigns. You can send it out as a flow as part of your post-purchase flow, where you can say, hey, maybe email 3 on your post-purchase flow after a certain amount of time is like, hey, how likely are you to recommend us to your family and friends? So really simple message. We want to show you how the best journey possible. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend JRF, so the brand, to a friend or family member? Click the emoji below. So all I've done here, and you can get so much more involved, but a really basic level is you can create a table and you can have a number of different images from here. So there's 11, I think. You can create some emojis with numbers on Canva, Photoshop, it doesn't really matter what you want to do. And then you can put them on here. So I've just thrown this together for you here. I'll just get rid of this for a second. And then you need to add, for each individual one, so you can see here, the link will be ever so slightly different. There's a number there. You need to be able to put this link here, which I'll show you what that does in a moment. As you come across, it will update your preferences. So I'll show you what that looks like shortly. I'll put this link in the description below with the 0, and then for each one you want to do is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 10. And basically what happens from here is somebody will click the emoji and it will then register that person, that profile, as a custom property, which I'll show you how to create in a moment. Just exactly where they are, and then you're able to communicate with them from there. So once you've done this, so you've created the different numbers on here, you've created the custom property on the preference page, which I'll show you in a moment. You can then go on and do a custom property. So I'll put myself back over here. So the way you do that is you go to a profile, pick just one of your profiles that you use to manage the account, and then you create a custom property, so an NPS, and then you obviously put the numbers on from there. So you add the custom property into this area here. That's then active. So when you start to use this with all the different numbers, it will start to work. If you don't do this and you try and set it up, it typically doesn't work and start causes a problem. So it's helpful to add this to here. And then the preference page that I talked about. So when you go onto your settings and other, and then onto your preference page, you want to edit it. You just want to add a block in here. So how likely are you to recommend us to a family member or friend? Now, you don't have to have this and use it anyway, but it's just a preference page. You have to have this on here. So the way you do it is your profile property is obviously your NPS, and then you have different numbers. So 0 is 0, 1 is 1, 2 is 2, etc., all the way down, done, and that's on there. So people, if they do go to the preference page, can choose that, and it'll update their property. But when you do it on the email here, it will basically act as if it's clicked it on this bit here for you. And then it'll update your property on here to say your NPS score is a, etc., whatever the score is from there. So you send this out as a campaign or as a flow, you'll start to get the data of who scores what. And the way to do that is to create a number of different segments so that you can see quite quickly what number of people are measuring within what area. So in terms of segments, you can just create some really simple ones. You can have your NPS promoters, and there's me on there from the other account, your NPS passives, and then your NPS detractors. You call it whatever you want. And then what you do, properties about somebody, you mark them the NPS, and then if it's a promoter, you want it to be at least 9, so 9 or 10, yeah. And then if someone can receive marketing because they've subscribed, more so in the UK. Then you basically create a segment, and then you can just clone it and create a new one. And if you want to say, well, it's between, is at least whatever number, and then you'd add another one, say, is it most whatever number from there. You'd then create that. So for your passives, it would be, is at least 7 and is at most 8. And that would be your passive. Let me see if I can get hold of that for you so you can see it. So your passive's on here, and then you can edit the definition. So yeah, see how we've done it here? So your passives, MPS properties, is at least 7 and is at most 8. So we know that that's good to go. And then once you create those segments, you are able to look at your 3 different segments. You're able to, figure out the number of those people. You're able to then formulate just where your score is from there. And then the way we've been looking to do it is you can create a follow-up flow for each person. So when they land in that segment, because they've hit the email, they click the button, they go into the segment, you can then send them an email relevant to where they are, whether they're a promoter, whether they're a detractor, and whether they're, I think I've clicked the same one. And the other one was a passive. I've clicked the same thing, obviously. And what you can do from here is you can change the messaging. So someone is added to whatever segment, you can put a time delay if you want, and you can put an email. And basically what we're doing off the back of this is we're putting a questionnaire within the email. So if they're promoters, we want to know their thoughts and feedback on maybe a product gap questionnaire that says, hey, we'd really love to know your thoughts on what products you think we could add, what maybe we should do less of, more of, how could we, improve the service even further, what's your experience been like, what do you love about us, that kind of thing. And then, for your detractors, it's all about that. Trying to get them back up that scale again. So it could be, how could we improve? What have we done wrong? How could we be better? And you get those. You can use Google Forms type form, SurveyMonkey, whatever you want to use. You can create a number of different forms, and people can then fill that out, and you get that data as well. So you've basically gone from getting an MPS number from somebody from an email, adding them to the preference page, doing the custom property on here, and then basically you've got your list of segments which you create, and then you can create some flows, put some message on there, perhaps making them personal emails, so plain text emails from the founder of the brand, for example, like, hey, see that you recently, left a low score when asked, we'd really love to know why you've left that score and how you can improve the score. It really is up to you as a brand how you want to push that, but ultimately this is the technical way of setting it up. It's relatively straightforward to do. But ultimately you're able to then get your score from here. So depending on the percentage of promoters and percentage of detractors, how you figure out the score, that percentage minus this percentage will give you what your MPS score is. And you're able to understand just about where you are as a brand when it comes to MPS. And you don't have to pay for some kind of other platform, per month or per year to do that MPS stuff for you. You can do it right within Klaviyo. Really, really easy, simple to do. So I'll put the link in the comments below. And then if you need any help kind of putting this stuff together, naturally reach out to us. Really, really enjoy putting this stuff together. So quite happily do it for you. Cheers. Take care.